Good morning, 7th standard. So today we'll study about MS Excel and especially the functions used in Excel. So I'm using the digital content media of your textbook, and in this chapter we'll learn about the cell address, calculation in Excel, text formula and numeric formula, functions, sum, subtract, product, count, etc., and AutoSum features in MS Excel. So first of all, the definition of an MS Excel is it is a spreadsheet software. A spreadsheet is a large sheet of rows and columns in which you can store mixed type data. Mixed type data means it would be a numeric data, text data, date and time, and within any other format, and can apply a formula or a function to perform calculations on numerical data. While performing calculations, cell addresses play an important role. So cell address are the most important part of MS Excel. So they are the least component of a Excel, but at the same time they have a most importance in a whole software. So let us first learn about use of cell addresses. So the first thing we are going to study about MS Excel is the cell address, of course. A cell is an intersection of row and column. So I'll show you a actual window of MS Excel. So this is your MS Excel screen. Here you can see these are the different rows. These are the rows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these are the columns A, B, C, D, E. So when one column is intersected by any row, then this intersection point between B and 2, so this point, it creates a cell. Okay, so this is what it is saying, that a cell is an intersection of row and column. When any row is been intersected by any column, it creates a box which is called a cell. Cell address is a alphanumeric value used to identify a specific cell. It is a combination of column label and row number. For example, a cell in a column D and row 4 has a cell address D4. So it means when we have any cell created by the intersection of row D and 7, for example, so this particular box, which is now called a cell, will have an address D7. So this is the name box in Excel window. We can see the address of any cell selected or a group of cells selected. We can see their address over here on the name box. So, or otherwise also we can see that this cell has been created over the column D and row 7. So the address of this cell would be D7. Alright. Now here if I write 5 or 56 for that matter, then this 56 is not the address of this cell. This is the data inside the cell. Alright. The address of the cell is D7 and the data inside the cell is 56. So there is two different things. So we can also say that 56 is in cell D7. Alright. So let us continue. Here also in your book, in a textbook, you can see a highlighted cell is over the column AB and 134. So the address of the cell would be AB 134. Okay. So let's continue. A cell address can be absolute, relative, or a mixed cell address. So there are three types of cell addresses we work over Microsoft Excel. So these three types of cell addresses are relative cell address, or we can also call it a relative cell reference. Second is absolute cell address or reference, and finally we have a mixed cell address or a reference. So let us study what a relative cell address is. Relative cell address or reference is one where the column label and row number are simply written side by side for a cell addresses. And this means that the relative cell address for a cell call located in column D and row is D4. Alright. Absolute cell address or reference is one where both the row number and column label are preceded by dollar sign. This means that the absolute cell address for a cell located in column D and 4 would be $D preceded by $D and $4. The main address of the cell would be D4, but both the column and the cell will be preceded by dollar sign. Then we have a mixed cell reference. Now mixed cell reference would be the mixture of relative cell reference and absolute cell reference. So is one where either the column label or the row number is written as an absolute address and other is written as a relative address. So one portion of a cell address would be relative and other would be the absolute. This means that the mixed cell address of a cell located in column D and row 4 is $D4, or you can say D column and $4. The use of this type of cell is discussed later in the chapter, so we will know how we are going to express these different types of references, whether it is um, relative reference, absolute reference, or a mixed reference. All right. So before that, to see the effect of these references, we must know the calculation in the Excel. So what sort of calculation we do? Like I have sent you the video in previous class where you are taught to use the different calculations in Excel, and then using a formula, we can also use a formula which is predefined calculation for any set of calculation in a MS Excel. Excel uses formula and functions to do calculations. Formula mean to do any sort of calculation using the operatives and the operands, and function means it is a predefined formula. So like if you are using a sum function, it means it is used to do the addition part. So while mentioning the name of a function, we here there we need not to put the plus sign because it is already understood that sum is used for addition. So there are two different methods of using calculation in a MS Excel. First of all, using a formula, let us see if we are adding the values on C, D and E, what would we write? On the total portion we are writing equals to 40 plus 35 plus 27. So we are adding all these three numbers, okay, and then we'll get the total as 102. Okay, so but if the teacher wants to change the marks in a 40 and 30, means it is called calculating on values. So here we are calculating on values. So anyway, and next in my next video I'm just showing you how to use the calculation on values and the reference. All right, so stay tuned.